In this video, we're going to discuss the keys to configuring the scan display for your first test with the EMI measurement solution on the RSA series spectrum analyzers. This area of the display is the scan display, and there's a couple things we want to do to initialize and set up our first test. One of the first things we want to do is use the mode setup window to really determine which bandwidth detector set we're going to use. We can choose between the CISPR set, which includes 200 Hz, 9 kHz, 120 kHz, and 1 MHz 6 dB detectors, or we can use the more standard Gaussian detectors. Here we're going to use the CISPR detectors. If we go to the frequency menu, we can see some of the initial setup for this display. This frequency determines the frequency set for the measurements, the meters on the right. But focusing on the left, we've got our scan starting from 30 MHz up to 3 GHz. And we've chosen a log X scale here. This allows us to see a broader frequency range in a more traditional style for these sort of measurements. If we switch over to the amplitude measurement menu, here's where we set our y-axis range using the dB microvolts setting today, with our reference level at 100 down to 0. The next thing we want to look at is the trace menu. Using the trace menu, we can set different trace detectors and trace types for each of the 3 traces we're using. Here we see the yellow, the blue, and the green trace. We've set it up for a peak, a quasi-peak, and then an EMI average trace. So here you can use 3 different traces simultaneously when you execute a scan. The average count for the average detectors is actually set up in the measurement window. Here's where we set our average count and average type. So these are really how you set up the first configuration for this display for your scans using the EMI measurement application.